This story is called Yamanoke, or Tensoumetsu. This is my own translation of a Japanese scary story, originally posted anonymously. This is the story of a father and daughter on a drive through the mountains. A story from a week ago. I went for a drive with my daughter. We were driving along an everyday mountain road, and on the way we had dinner at a drive-in. I wanted to scare her, so I took an unpaved side path. But rather, her calm demeanor was just as amusing, and we continued along the path. But then, unexpectedly, the engine shut off. We were deep in the mountains, so I had no cell phone service, and I don't know anything about cars, so my daughter and I were at a complete loss. It would have taken hours to walk back to the drive-in we dined at. With no other options, I decided we would sleep in the car overnight and walk back to the drive-in in the morning. While we were staving off the cold inside the car, it became night. The mountains at night are completely silent, except for the occasional rustling of wind through the trees. Steadily, time passed, and my daughter fell asleep in the passenger seat. Time for sleep, I thought, and closed my eyes. But then I heard something. It's creepy to recall now. I don't know if it was a voice or just a noise, but it sounded like it was repeating Ten, Soul, Metsu. Or maybe it was Ken, Soul, Metsu? At first, I kept my eyes closed, trying to convince myself I was mishearing it. But the sound seemed to be getting progressively closer, and I couldn't help but open my eyes. When I did, I saw something white and smooth, moving bizarrely as it drew closer to the car. The shape was Jamila from Ultraman, a silhouette without a head, and only one leg. It approached us as if it was hopping on one foot, waving its arms crazily, making its whole body a shaky blur. I was so frightened I wanted to scream, but for some reason I had the weird thought, I mustn't wake up my daughter. I couldn't scream or run away. The thing kept coming steadily closer, but it appeared to be passing the car. As it went past, I could hear the Ten, Soul, Metsu. The sound grew distant, and when I turned around, I couldn't see it anymore. So relieved, I turned to my daughter. And there it was, outside the passenger window. Up close, I could see that it did have a face on its chest, even though it didn't have a head. It smiled at me with this horrifying, wide grin that I don't want to recall. I was beyond scared, and seeing it so close to my daughter made my anger boil over. I shouted, "You bastard!" As soon as I shouted, it disappeared and my daughter sprung up. I thought I had startled her by shouting. I tried to apologize until she muttered, "It got inside. It got inside. It got inside. It got inside," over and over. This is bad, I thought, and had to try something to get us out of there. I tried the engine again and it started up. I hurried back the way I came. My daughter was still mumbling beside me. I sped off, trying to get to a place with people as soon as possible. It was a relief when the lights of the town came into view, but my daughter's mumbling of "It got inside" had changed to Ten, Soul, Metsu, and her face was changed to something unlike my daughter. I thought, I can't take her home in this state, so I rushed into a temple that caught my attention. It was the middle of the night, but I saw a light on next to the temple where the head priest might live. I pulled my daughter behind me and rang the doorbell. The man who looked like the head priest came out, and when he saw my daughter, he asked, "What have you done?" to me. When I told him I drove into the mountains and saw a strange thing, he looked disappointed. For my peace of mind, he chanted sutras and hit my daughter's shoulders and back. the head priest asked me to stay the night, and since I was worried about my daughter, I agreed to stay. My daughter was possessed by a Yamanoke, according to the head priest. If her condition persists for 49 days, she will never recover and stay like this her entire life. The priest said to keep this from happening, he would look after my daughter and somehow try to expel the Yamanoke. I called my wife, and with the priest's help, somehow convinced her of the events that took place. The priest told me if I had gone home in that state, it's likely my wife would have been possessed by the Yamanoke too. The Yamanoke possesses women, and until the Yamanoke is completely expelled, my wife cannot meet with our daughter. It's been a week, and my daughter is still with the priest. I go visit her every day, but she doesn't seem like my daughter anymore. She smiles at me widely, and looks at me with an indescribable look in her eyes. I want my daughter to return to me as soon as possible. So please, don't go to the mountains for a laugh. Notes. But what is a Yamanoke? The author of the story described it like Jamila from Ultraman. I always imagined it something like a one-legged Hitmonlee. Is it related to a lesser-known yokai like Ippon Dattara or Hitotsu Dattara, a one-legged, one-eyed yokai in the mountains of Kumano? Others think rather than a yokai or spirit, it is a kami. It seems rather powerful, but Japanese bloggers argue that a kami should at least provide some providence or blessing, and the only example of a Yamanoke is a curse. Also, consider the meaning of Yamanoke, written in katakana in the story. Yamano, meaning of the mountain, but readers are less certain of the meaning of kei. Is it kei like mononoke, the kanji for mystery, used in words like kaibutsu, monster, or kaidan, ghost story? The meaning of Tensoumetsu, also written in katakana, is also undetermined. Possibly, the meaning is something like ten, movement, falling, changing, convert. Sou, with the kanji to mean operate, manipulate, to puppet. And metsu, meaning destroy or ruin. Another note about the story is the 49 days to exorcise the creature. This could be related to a Buddhist tradition observed in Japan, the 49 days of mourning after a funeral. This mourning may include a short memorial on the 3rd, 7th, and 49th days at the site of the grave. On the 49th day, the ashes of the deceased may be deposited at the gravesite, what is called no kotsu.